Hey guys, this is Rocking3 with another commentary, Forza 5, and I want to share with you one of my big tricks. This is probably not a secret for some people, probably do this all the time, but I just want to share with you how I learn what type of parts I'm going to put on a car to make it competitive per leaderboard cars. And there's a couple different ways. One, if you know somebody has a really good tune out there, you can go out and you can purchase a tune for your car, or not purchase a tune, but you can actually download a tune and just go in here, go load recommended tunes. If you happen to know some of these names, like Tune by Worm, he's done a tune for every single car. He's actually works for Turn 10 and does that for everybody to share out. So every time you go in here, the first one's going to be Tune by Worm. There actually is a pretty good starting point, and a lot of times it's a really good setup as far as how it can be competitive. Now you still have to tweak it and stuff after that, but you can't do that because the tune is locked. So what I do is I will download one of these tunes. I'll get a good idea of what kind of horsepower, what kind of engine I want to have and stuff like that, and I'll download it and I'll put it on there, and then I'll go in to make a change. And then when I go in to make a change, it says, do you want to get rid of this tune? So you get rid of the tune, but you keep the parts that you just purchased when you downloaded that tune. Now you can at least tell the setup as far as what parts they used. From there you can start tuning it yourself. Now another way that I do it, and I do this actually quite often, is I will actually go out to Rivals. Friends and I were working on the X-Bow. I had a friend that was having a little bit of problems getting it set up and making it very drivable. So I went out here, went to the Mazda Raceway, saw that the KTM X-Bow is, you can see it's very top heavy here. So it's actually a very good car. So what I do is I go to the number one guy. I just want to know what the number one guy does, and I want to watch this replay. So as it's loading, I'll tell you what I'm looking for. So I let the car start to run. I let it get to a straightaway, and then I pause it. And then I go to take a photo, and then that's where we start examining the car for the parts that are on it, the setup that might be on there. You can actually figure out what kind of tow, or kind of an idea of how much tow, negative tow is in it. So let me show you this. I'm going to let this go down a straightaway here, and I am going to put a pause. And now I go take photo. It takes a second here, and it loads in. And now, things I learned from this is I know he's got a front wing with that hook right there. That's the front wing. I know if you put the Forza wing that's adjustable, it's going to have that. Now this car is going to typically have that, but there's some cars that sometimes people don't put wings on there, and then a little bit faster, and you try to find out why. The other thing that I can find out by looking at this is now I can look at what kind of tires. So the checkered pattern on these tires right here show me that this is actually the stock tire. If you were to upgrade that tire, all the markings on the side go away. So now I know this number one person was able to run this race on stock tires. And then the other thing is you can get in here and you can kind of see what wheel it is. And I think it's like Web Sport or something like that. It's upside down right there, but I know what wheel he's using, so I can go and find that wheel. So now I have that part as well. And a lot of times people use the wheels to get their PI exactly where they want it to. So in this case, it's going to be A-class. They try to get it to 700. Now, I back up a little bit because I want to show you the differences in the car. So I went and looked at what the stock rims looked like. These rims here are maxed out, so they're the biggest rims possible. So he's got the really thin tire going. So he has that fully upgradable. I can tell that he has the top brakes. Not that anybody doesn't use the top brakes, but I can see that as well. And I can also tell by the width what kind of tire he was using. So if I go to the back and I compare the size of this to when I go buy the parts, I'm going to say this one is probably the full width just looking at it. And I try to get an idea. You have to eyeball it a little bit, but I think that's as wide as that goes on the upgrades. And then on the front, it looks like it has maybe one upgrade or maybe no upgrades at all. So I have an idea where I want to start with that as well. This particular car doesn't have it. You can put a roll cage on it, but unfortunately there's nothing on the car that shows that has a roll cage. So I actually don't know if he has a roll cage or not. So I've learned at least at some of the parts that I can start with. I don't have to guess at it. I can do that. Now here's another key component. So I actually want to watch this car race. And if you listen really, really closely, you're going to hear kind of the backflow of a turbo. I think right in here. You hear that? There's a little bit of a backflow on the turbo. And actually what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get really close to the wheel. You hear that turbo? And now I can listen to the car, kind of tell when he's shifting, how high he's revving it. Hear that? I can hear the turbo again kicking back. So he's hitting the gas, letting off, hitting the gas, letting off. So now when I look at doing an engine exchange or an aspiration change, I know I'm looking for something that's a turbo, not a supercharger, because of that noise right there. I generally don't watch them as far as what kind of lines and stuff they take, so I'm not looking on how they're driving it for the most part. I know how to drive the lines that I need to drive, where I can pick up speed, where I don't have to hit the brakes. If you have a question on a turn, you can see if somebody ever hits the brakes or doesn't hit the brakes, or how long they hit the brakes. But just listening to the shift patterns here, I can kind of get an idea of what his gearing is. Shift, shift, so that's probably 6 right there. He's going to wrap it out going forward. And you can watch those laps over and over again too. But I just wanted to give you kind of a tip on how I'm finding out what parts. So then the other thing that I will do, so let's say if I put this all together, and maybe I don't have it tuned right, but I have a really good guess of what the parts are. I'll go and set this guy as my rival, and I'll go out there, and I know I won't catch him on the first. You can see I'm 3.5 seconds behind him, so by the time that lap is over at Laguna Seca, he's going to be gone. And you can see I'm not quite set up at 700 yet, so I have something else I need to add. So the thing is watching him, it looks like he actually has traction control on too. That's odd. I don't usually have traction control on, so I might have to try that as well. But I will set him as a rival, and what I do is I get an idea of, like, when we're going down the straightaway, are we going the same speed? Am I too fast? Am I passing him? Or is he passing me? Sometimes if I am passing that number 1 guy, that probably means my car is too fast, and I've done the wrong engine change, or done a wrong component, or gave up a handling piece for that speed. So if I'm racing that rival, and I beat him in all the straightaways, but he beats me really badly in all the turns, I know I need to make an adjustment to my car. Same thing if it's the other way around. If he's always just pulling away from me and I can catch him in the turns, but he keeps pulling away from me in the straightaways, I know I don't have enough horsepower, or maybe I have too much weight. And it actually works really, really well. I would suggest to just take the top person. Who do you want to try to emulate? Try to get your car. You won't have it set up the same way, but at least you'll have the parts and the configurations the same. And then you'll have the top class 700 on this one in particular. So anyway, that's how I do it right now, and I just kind of work with my computer and say, what have I learned? I put down all the components that I need to buy, and then I try to mix and match the other parts that I need to get as well. I'm assuming everybody has all the handling parts, so I add all that. I don't know about compound. I actually had to look to see about compound. It just gives me a good starting point. And then when I do lap, this 129 is 128th position there I got today. I did that in, I want to say it was like 4 laps or something like that. So I haven't even really raced it yet. So I imagine I can move that up into the top 100 pretty easily. And that's just taking a guess on what I'm looking at the number 1 by using that photo and then listening to the car run too. If you guys have any more questions about that, let me know in the comments below. Just trying to give you some tips and tricks on that, and good luck and happy hunting. Talk to you later, guys.